Welcome back to Pulse Geelong and to my interview with Darryn Lyons about Diana, the exhibition. In the next part of our conversation, I asked Darryn about some of the men in Princess Diana's life, including Prince Charles and her butler, Paul Burrell. Now, you've mentioned Ken Wharf. Obviously, he was Diana's personal protection officer for a very long time. So you've obviously got a very good relationship with him to this day.
Yeah, very much. In fact, Ken and I have been trying to get together a two-man tour of Australia for a long time, but I've just been so busy. He's desperate to do it because we've had some great times and he's got some great stories and I've got some great photos. And one day, before I actually became mayor, we were that far away from organising it for an Australian tour. It would be a great show. He was one of a kind that... I developed a great relationship with, and he was one of the best in the business because he understood that everyone had a job to do. Mm-hmm. And there's very few with military or policing, that kind of protection services background that understand that, guys, let's work together on this. Mm-hmm. And we'll do this, but you can't do that. And there was a fantastic relationship because he ended up looking after... the Duke, I think. He went up to look after the Duke at one stage, and I think at the start of his career he said you go into the service as a royalist and you come out a Republican. So, I think he felt that living back in the 14th century at times for him towards the end of his career, which is what it's like, I think he found quite difficult. Yeah. So, he was no longer. I think that was his last post with the Duke and the Queen, but mainly looking after the Duke of Edinburgh, which would have been extremely, well, I would have thought it would be entertaining, but I don't think it was.
Now, let me ask you about another name, Paul Burrell. Did you have a lot to do with him?
No, I met him on a few occasions. Paul was an interesting chap. Did a couple of reality TV shows, and we did a few interviews together on a particular royal series, which I did many around the world, right across America, Europe and in the UK. Paul Burrell, strange kind of guy, not necessarily my kind of guy. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to say about Paul Burrell.
I think you've probably said enough in what you've not said.
He kind of almost sold his soul, really, in a lot of ways. I think he was a great servant to the Princess of Wales, but I think the undermining, not that it was undermining, but I just thought for someone with so much class to be, in the end, so tacky, mm-hmm. was not becoming of a great, who was a great confidant to the Princess of Wales.
Now, another name I'll run by you that you probably ran into from time to time, the Prince of Wales.
Yeah, the Prince of Wales. And strangely enough, I know a lot of people dislike it. I think his credibility and his image has improved a lot. And, I was one of those photographers who got the first pictures very early on of Camilla and Charles. And also I had Diana knocking on my door telling me to photograph that woman who I didn't know who that woman was a year before that Squidgy Gate and Camilla Gate and... all the tampon experiments, etc., were going on. So it would have been a massive word exclusive. But, extremely interesting times, I suppose. I actually, think he's been painted in the early days. Look, if anyone's been through a brutal marriage breakup, which this was extremely public. I don't think many people understand the intensity. I actually quite like the Prince of Wales. I think he's actually, as a one-on-one, quite a funny guy. I think he's had a very difficult life to live. Who'd want that job? I think a lot of people dream of being prince and princesses and kings and queens.
Well,
it's a happy existence.
He's been an apprentice for a very long time, hasn't he?
Well, he has, and I think he's done a reasonable job, to be quite honest with you. I think he's a master painter. I think he's had a tough job bringing up his two sons, and I think he's done a good job. Yeah. Beggars belief why he fell in love with Camilla Parker Bowles. I would have thought it was the most... but obviously they were kindred spirits for a very long time. And I don't think what most people understand is that it is true that the royal family, and it will be for many years to come, still think that their existence is is very much not for the 21st century. It is always stuck in the past. If anyone watches Downton Abbey, I suppose that is as good of paint a picture as you will get of reality. I mean, adultery is just, I think it's quite a normal part of life for royals. And I also still think that it still is a situation where women are, they're there to do a job, not and to produce children. I still think that even in the modern royal family today.
Okay, it's interesting.
Yeah, I think they're still very stuck in the past, but they've tried desperately over the last 4 or 5 years to modernise, and I think Prince William and Kate and Harry have brought a lot to that modernisation.
Touching on Kate and William, are the photographers following them like they used to with Diana, or have they sort of backed off a bit, do you think?
Oh, I think the royals have tried, and so some days I think it's right and some days I think it's wrong. I don't believe, if you're in that job, I think privacy is always going to be your enemy anyway. But an Englishman's home's his castle, and don't worry, the royal family got plenty of places to hide. I think it's over the top, and I think at times they made several mistakes with Kate in the early days. It was like locking her up in the Tower of London, never to be seen. I don't think that was the right move. I think there's good and bad in every business. I think when I ran the biggest agency in the world at the time, I think we were the friendly paparazzi. I think we knew how to work with them. But at times, like anyone, if you get caught out doing the wrong thing in a public place, you get whacked. So even in the modern day, it's becoming, more obsessive compulsive because we all have access to make money from our camera phones, which watch this space. I think that there's no question where the biggest exclusives are going to come from in the future, and not from the paparazzi. They're going to come from the average person becoming a millionaire overnight with their own phone. So, it's not easy being under the gaze and scrutiny every day of your life as a celebrity in general. But the royals, they've managed to kind of master it. I don't believe in the privacy situations that's happened in Britain over recent years, which I think my company and even myself, I suppose, was made a very big test case in England and a victim of. I think if you're in a public place that it is open season. To be constantly harassed, well, I don't know that it is constant harassment. I think if you have that kind of money and that type of security, it's pretty simple to if they had me as an advisor, I could make sure they wouldn't be photographed very often.
Now, you've obviously been back in Geelong for a while now. Do you miss that lifestyle that you had over there?
Oh no, I just think I've been lucky to have 10 lives in one life, I suppose, as a person. I've really enjoyed the community service that I've given. I love the great changes that have happened to Geelong. I've loved the economic boost that's happening. The transition of the city was a huge challenge for me at Geelong, probably one of its darkest times in its history. The only other probably big one was the Pyramid times, and with the loss of Ford and Alcoa and a lot of jobs. I never like to see people that are jobless particularly, but I do also think that there's a lot you can go out and do and earn money, which I did working for free as a photographer as a kid, and end up getting an incredible career, becoming at the time before 30 a multi-millionaire, which was one of my ambitions in life. I mean, I had a ruthless approach to being successful, and I still do today. My motto was achieve the unachievable, and I'm an extremely hard worker, extreme thinker. I'd like to think of myself as a visionary and a change agent. The first mayor that's ever instigated social media to over 1.3 million people, and 846 million people retweeted Geelong last year globally. No wonder we're having a little bit of a mini business boom and investment in the CBD and city. 60 new shops opened up in the last year. That's an incredible statistic for a regional city.
That's fantastic.
But I'm very proud of the numbers that I've delivered, and I've done it by getting out there on the front foot, and people have accused it being all about me, but it's certainly not about me. I'm going to get the publicity wherever I go, and I do get it in every city and every country I go anyway, because I've been a well-known TV face in Europe to much more than the population of Australia on many number of times. I did the royal wedding for American TV with Barbara Walters. So at the end of the day, when you're sitting there with a billion people watching around the world covering the royal wedding as a royal reporter on television, well, pretty much everyone knows where you go. I was back in London recently, and I haven't been there for 3 years with the mayoress, and I couldn't walk 6 feet without. There's the guy from Celebrity Big Brother. Oh, there's the paparazzi. There's the Mayor of Geelong, which happened quite frequently too. So,
I bet it does.
It's great
Have you,
to be known in London.
Now, just touching back on the exhibition, it's obviously here at the Elephant and Castle, and it's going to be running for a bit longer, you were saying, through to the end of January?
Yeah, we are. We're going to extend it over January because it's been such an incredible success and got great coverage. The Today Show's been down, Sunrise been down. So, yeah, we are going to extend it, and I'm looking forward to handing over to Geoffrey Kennett and Julia Gillard the cheque when it comes to the end. And, you know, it's a gold coin donation, so just peruse and enjoy this incredible exhibition, which to me was a big part of my life at the time. And I've got to tell you, when we first started this interview, and I haven't been up here very often lately, but there's some incredible special moments that I reflect on, and some of them really send chills up and down my spine. And actually, I get quite emotional because she was the most magical woman in the world to photograph, and I've photographed many women throughout my career, but she was just something special.
Absolutely. Well, Darryn, thank you for taking the time to show us around the exhibition and have a bit of a chat about it and your life with Diana. We really appreciate it. So thank you for sharing this with the Pulse viewers.
Thank you very much, Geelong.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed our Diana the Exhibition episode. Remember, you can still view this stunning photographic exhibition at the Elephant and Castle. Entry is simply a gold coin donation, with all proceeds going towards the Beyond Blue Foundation. If you've missed any episodes of Pulse Geelong, you can catch up on our YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com/947thepulsetv. Until next week, and remember, if you're out in the bay, keep clear of big ships. This has been Sally Cannon for Pulse Geelong.